I'm working on now is a t-shirt quilt that some of the graphics are really thick. Some of them I can edge to edge through, but I don't want to edge to edge through that one, and I don't want to edge to edge through this one. So I'm going to create a mask with the Mach 3 system by Innova, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline very loosely this Louisiana. The edge to edge is going to avoid the area inside the mask. First of all, I'm just going to free motion quilt around the Louisiana, and then I'm going to set the mask in place. So actually I need to go put myself in free motion mode. I'm disengaging the belts so that the arm moves freely. So when I disengage the belts, I do want to, and I'm free motion quilting, I want to set the needle position to down, because it has a tendency when you stop, it'll move a little bit. If the needle position is down, it'll prevent that from happening. And now I'm going to free motion quilt the words Tri Sigma. Do the words, let's see how good I get at it. Uh-oh. Let's see, I have some very long stitches here. Not sure what's happening. So we're going to pull out those skip stitches and see if we can't figure out what's going on. So I'm just going to undo the stitching. I don't know what happened. I'm going to look underneath and see if I can't figure it out, if there's some issues, but actually it goes way back to here. So I'm going to go have a look underneath with my light and see if I can figure it out. Okay, 1 hour later, we are good to go. Completely undone. Let's start over. So because I know I had the lashes on the bottom, that I do need to tighten up the top tension, and I am going to use one of these little cast-offs on the side here so that I can test the tension, and I am going to tighten up my tension on the side by 1/4. So much better. Okay, I've re-engaged the belts, but before I can start quilting, I need to create a mask around the Louisiana and around the home so that the edge to edge doesn't go through the area where I don't want to. So the last row that I quilted on this t-shirt quilt was, there was something not quite right, but it looked fine from the top. Like I couldn't really see anything going on. So I finished the row, everything looked good. And then when I rolled it up, I checked the back and it was an absolute hot mess. It was late. I was frustrated, so I didn't get good pictures of it, which in hindsight, like that was what I really needed to get the pictures of. Not everything going smoothly, but just kind of how horrible it can get when it's bad. I think what's happening is that my spring is bad, because when I did one row, the last row, the very first row, tension was bad. I fixed it. Second row, good. third row is good. I think that was the third row was good. And then this last row was an absolute hot mess. I don't know what happened and why all of a sudden it's so loose. So I spent about 40 minutes completely pulling out the quilting from in a row. Now, the good news is that it was so loose that it was a pretty quick procedure. I pulled from the back, and the back thread, because the top tension was too loose, the back thread is where the loops were, the eyes were loose, and so I was able to easily pull those out, and like it just came out so easily. So the tension was like ridiculously off. Again, I didn't adjust it, it just all of a sudden was off. So either I accidentally hit it or it is broken. So I am just now, that was like 3 days ago, 11 o'clock at night, by the time, probably midnight by the time I finished pulling it out. So this is the first time I've turned the machine on since then. So I'm gonna check the tension, I'm gonna look at everything, and we'll see what happens. I am gonna have to be vigilant about checking that thread multiple times throughout the row, each row, just to make sure it's not loosening up. So let's try it again and see what happens. I've got to test. Oh, that's horrible. Tighten that up. Oh my God, even worse. And the tension feels okay. Okay, I'm gonna just completely re-thread it. So I sewed this little test strip, and when I look underneath, it is pure chaos. Like, this is horrid. And the top looks loose even a little bit. So I think there was something in the threading. I must have gotten something wrong when I threaded it somehow. So we're gonna re-thread the machine, but in order to do that, I need my glasses. Okay, so the machine is re-threaded. And I'm thinking that might have been the issue because I had something weird going on by the needle. So let's try this again. Oh my God, it even sounds better. It sounds better. Oh yeah, that's what it was. All right. So basically I did an entire row with jacked up stitches because it wasn't threaded properly. Oh my God, guys, like seriously, perfect. That's what it was. I just needed to rethread it. So I don't know if you can see from there all the little stippling holes from the previous row. Let's see, right here. But anyway, so proof that I did an entire row and pulled it out. Full bobbin. And we are ready to go. Okay, so what I want to show you is the difference between before and after the rethreading. So before rethreading the machine, you can see these huge loops. That was the entire back of the quilt before on that last row. After I threaded it, you can see such a huge difference. I mean, it is just, the stitches are beautiful. They're uniform. There's no eyelashes. There's no pulling. The tension is absolutely perfect. So very excited that that was an easy fix. Okay, so I want to make sure that it's even, that there's no bumps in the batting like I had last time. Feels good, looks good. Because I've had so many issues with tension on this quilt, I'm gonna roll it up and get a really good look of the back of the quilt where I just did the free motion quilting. And actually that last row is, y'all, it is beautiful. So the tension, the free motion quilting that I did back here is beautiful, no issues, even with my glasses on. Absolutely fabulous. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, good. So So when people ask me if this is handmade, the answer is, of course it is. Look at me using my hands. So I don't always pull the basting stitches out of the quilt after it's quilted and before I put the binding. I am actually pulling the basting stitches out here because there are a couple of places where I think it might show I didn't do a great job at keeping the stitches close to the edge. And it's pretty easy removing loose basting stitches. I'm looking at the back of the quilt. All I'm doing is like you pull one and then like the whole thing comes out, which is the point of basting stitches. It just keeps it kind of in place for you while you're quilting or, you know, sewing on something. And then you can easily pull it out at the end when you're done. I know this is not the biggest quilt I've ever made. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with it. Okay, so I have completely moved everything around in here in my sewing room because this quilt is getting the best of me, the binding. The quilt is heavier. I think it's just a bigger quilt than I'm used to making. I turned the machine table so that when the quilt leaves the machine, it will hit the ironing board, and then the table is even beyond that. So it won't get heavy and pull downward is the goal. Probably could have gotten halfway through that next row, but I'm already frustrated. I do not want to run out of bobbin thread without realizing it. Okay, so I've got a fresh bobbin. I cleaned the bobbin case while I had all that open. Got all my tables. And we are doing it again. Let's see. I just, you know, I feel good about this. I feel like it's going to be just fine. Everything is fine. It's all fine. Okay, here's the fun part. We're going to join our two ends. So this is the strap coming from this side. So this is 2.5 inches wide, which is the width of our binding. I'm going to overlap the bottom piece of binding, which is cut here. So this one, the length is here, just where it's ended. I put that piece, lay the top binding over, and I'm going to cut it the exact width, when it's, in this case, is 2.5 inches. Now, we are going to put them together just like we did when we were sewing the binding earlier. Together like this. And then we're going to sew corner to corner and pray that I went in the right direction. The thing that normally happens is that it gets twisted up. Okay. Big reveal here. So it should lay exactly flat. Yay! It is not twisted. Now I do have to cut this, which I can do now that I know that it worked out. Yeah, I figure it out every time. There's, like, I know there's somebody out there who can tell you exactly how you're supposed to do it. Eventually I'm going to get there. Right now, every time it's like, I think this is how you do it. And I got it right that time. Everybody rejoice. Okay. So now our binding is no gaps completed. Yay! And so when done properly, which, y'all, it's taken me years, you can't tell. There's no straight line. It's at an angle, so it's still, you know, just like the rest. So what I'm going to do now is come back, fold the binding over, and finish it off. So the quilt isn't finished until all of the strings are snipped and you've really looked over the top to make sure that there's no pending issues. So in this quilt, I have lots of, let's see, I'm completely out of them. So in this quilt, I have lots of strings to tie off and bury because I did a lot of mixed edge to edge, and then I would stop and mask and go around things. And so the free motion quilting will leave these random pieces. So I'm going to go bury those threads, go over the quilt, make sure everything is good front and back, and then I am going to tonight at 6:30 p.m. Tonight I am going to finish off the bag to put the quilt in so I can deliver it tomorrow. Super excited about that. And so now I gotta bury some threads.